Hey guys, this is Pete from Crunch Time Coaching. What an upset. Andy Murray is out of the tournament. We're going to go and break through how this happened today. He played Alexander Zverev's older brother, journeyman Mischa, or Mishka, if you guys could help me out with that. But what a great match. I'm sad for Andy because he's been working so hard, and this obviously would just come out of nowhere. They played once before, and Andy Murray, I think, beat him like 6-2, 6-2. Rafael Nadal played him in a warm-up tournament and beat him like, I don't know, 6-1, 6-2, or some kind of blowout score. And then he's able to come out of nowhere and play the absolute match of his life. And it was really cool to see, too, because he did it in a style that a lot of people say you can't do anymore. He played old school serve and volley tennis. And also any second serve that Andy Murray hit, he was all over it, putting all kinds of pressure on Andy. And let's get into the breakdown of the match. To me, what was pretty cool, especially because if you don't know me, guys, I'm an online instructor, Peter Freeman, Crunch Time Coaching, and so I think, again, this is a match that we can learn from and take some tools from and get excited about, because so many people have said in today's game, you cannot serve and volley anymore. That serve and volley is dead. It doesn't work. These guys hit the ball too hard. And, obviously it can still be done, because Andy Murray is one of the greatest returners of all time. He has one of the greatest passing shots of all time. He's one of the best movers. So, it definitely wouldn't work against Andy Murray if it just is outdated and doesn't work. And I believe Zverev only had 7 aces the whole match, but yet he dominated on the serve. And he was not even hitting big bombing aces. He was the slice serve that he had. He's a lefty, which I'm a lefty, so I love the lefties. And he used the slice serve to perfection. He on the deuce side, he would swing it and it would curl out here. So Andy Murray'd have to get over here, sometimes cross over the line just to get the ball back. And on the ad side, he would bring Andy way out here and have a nice out wide open court to hit into. And that was the pretty cool thing to be able to watch, is that they talk about the speed of the game, yet he was able to do it not by hitting big bombing serves. He actually, when you serve and volley, to some degree, you don't want to serve too fast, because if you serve a really fast ball, you might only get to here by the time the ball is hit back, and you're having to hit all these volleys at your feet and, just not getting close enough for the second ball. So what he did was he had a beautiful kick serve. Zverev had an absolutely beautiful kick serve, and he had he won a lot of these points on 3 shots. Let's say he kicked it out here. He used his kick serve very well on the deuce side, and he'd hit it back usually towards the middle. Zverev would hit the ball deep to the backhand corner and then close the net, corner the court off, not play in the middle, corner the court off, and then usually hit a little short dump volley there. And even sometimes if he couldn't put the ball away, he'd put one more ball back at Andy's shoelaces. That was the key. He was able to put a lot of these passing shots on Andy's shoelaces, or bring him where Andy would have to bend over and volley up. And it frustrated Andy. He could never get into a rhythm. And then on Andy's serve, what he was able to do is, most people nowadays, when they hit a second serve return, they're content to stay right around the baseline and hit the ball back. Now they club the ball, that's for sure, but the pros are fast enough to where they can drop off the baseline on a second serve, let the first club ball come, as long as it's not hit to a corner, and be able to get back into a rally and kind of neutralize the point that way. Well, Zverev never let that happen. Mischa is always right in here, hitting the ball many times. Interestingly enough, I mean, he'd go to the corners, but one play that was very, very effective is he would hit the return right up the middle. Now, why is this a good idea? Because when you serve, you come into the court a little bit. And if you're playing in close and you can take the ball and go in the middle, lots of times he was able to get that ball at Andy's feet before Andy even had a chance to recover off his own serve. And then again, if he didn't have a perfect look at a volley, he would volley it deep, usually to the backhand corner. And then again, with a nice little touch shot to win the point. He did that over and over again. It was very predictable, but it was, to Andy, not predictable because he hasn't seen anything like that. You know, he does not have to play against people who are going to. He came in over 100 times. We have not seen someone come to the net over 100 times in a match in a long time. I mean, this is kind of like McEnroe days, Becker days, right? Steech, Edberg, Rafter, and the argument is that those guys couldn't make it on tour because the game is just too fast. And Zverev, again, hit lots of slice backhands. His forehand, he could slap it off the return, but once they got into a rally, he didn't really have the greatest forehand. It was all about just keeping the pressure on, So that tells us a couple of things. Number one, you can still, I don't know if you can do it consistently because it is such high risk, high reward tennis, but you could certainly pull off some big wins on the tour with the serve and volley. It'd be nice to see a little more of that, but also at your club level. So also in the description, if you would like to get your slice serve improved, I put a little link in the description, because if you can get good with your spin serves, if you can kick a ball, if you can slice a ball and get to the net, you can set up a lot of easy points against your opponents. Remember, one, we're not playing Djokovic and Murray, right? We're not playing those guys when you guys go out there and play your league matches, or if you're a junior player, where, you know, I think sometimes because what we see on TV, we think that that's how tennis is played at our local courts, and it's a completely different game. So I mean, serve and volley absolutely still works at the recreational level, and Zverev just proved that it totally works on the tour too, if you can do it well. And it was a really cool match to watch. I think a couple of things watching Murray tonight, a couple big flaws he made, let me know what you guys think, is I think his big mistake was going for so much on the first serve. I saw time and time again in games when Murray wanted to win a point, rather than just get the first serve and get into a rally, which I think he should have done, he would try and, you know, win it off his first serve, and he would miss that. And then Zverev was all over his second serve. And I found it interesting that Murray's such a great tactician usually, that he didn't pick up on that more, that why did he keep going for the big serve? Because once he was able to get into a rally, he controlled most of the rallies. You know that Zverev, if you can get the ball deep, he's going to slice back the backhand, and the forehand made a lot of errors off the forehand side when I was watching. I picked it up in the third and the fourth set. So a great match. That was one big mistake. And then the other thing is Murray now, he's been on the tour a long time. He's a Grand Slam champion. I don't understand. Maybe some of you Murray fans can help me out there. I don't understand this need to where when things aren't going right, to look up at your box and scream at your box. Like, does that help Murray? When Murray gets into screaming at the box mode, I mean, I know he wins some of those matches, but to me, that doesn't really help his game. You know, people used to say that when McEnroe would get into an argument with somebody, that helped him. Well, it seems like Murray, to try and get himself pumped up, or I don't know what he's doing, he just starts screaming at his box. like what is that going to accomplish? And uh, for a while, when Lendl has been his coach, I think for a while Lendl kind of told him, "Look, you're not going to scream up here at me," and that's how they kind of had instant success. I started to notice that when Andy started to really rack up the wins with Lendl, that he seemed a lot more calm under pressure. When things got tough, you didn't see him freak out and start screaming at his box. Well, tonight it was old Andy. He was screaming and yelling at his box. It didn't help him. He seemed that he was also flat. I think the change in the rhythm just never allowed him to get into a groove and feel comfortable. You could see him at the end really trying to bounce around and move his feet. I think that's a good idea, but I think it was also he was doing that because he was flat. He could never really get himself in the groove. He could never really get himself going. Let me know what you guys think of this evaluation. Do you think this is a good breakdown of why Andy lost and the things he did wrong? Obviously, Zverev did a lot of things right, and he made a lot of incredible shots. So, I mean, it did show to win at serve and volley, you're going to have to play amazing tennis. But the cool thing it did show us is you don't have to blast the serve 180 miles an hour. Like these guys are hitting 120 to 140. Zverev really didn't do that. He was kicking the ball and slicing the ball and putting a deep volley in play and then a short volley. Old school tennis, old school playbook won today in the modern game, which I think is a lot of fun. I'd like to see more of it. I didn't really realize how much I missed it until I saw it tonight. Like, I love watching tennis, and sometimes I hear some people complain like, tennis is boring because no one, everybody just, bashes the ball back on the baseline. And I just look at the athleticism and the things they're able to do with the ball. And when they do come to the net, everybody can volley well. So, I mean, I don't think there's many weaknesses on the tour. But watching that contrast tonight definitely was interesting. And it was more interesting than watching a match after match of two people just banging it back and forth at the baseline. So let me know what you guys think about that. Would you guys like to see more of this style play? Do you think is this kind of like an outlier? I mean, is this just really not possible and this guy has played the match of his life? Or can more people watch tonight's game and go, let's have a little bit of a revival of serve and volley tennis? Will we see just this is a journeyman pulling the match off of his life, but will we ever see a top 5 player in the world who is like a Tim Henman or like a McEnroe or Edberg, to where that's their game and they win consistently on the tour? Can you consistently pull this off is the bigger question, because for somebody to invest this amount of time in their game to become a serve and volleyer, and you're very talented, you have to know that it can work consistently and not just a once in a lifetime kind of freak thing, which this might have been. But what this does for the people who looked at Federer's draw in the beginning of the tournament and said Federer's is coming back from a 6 months hiatus and he's probably going to be rusty and his draw is a nightmare. Now all of a sudden, and if you look at Federer over the last couple of years, he has been very, very close to winning Grand Slam titles. Lots of people said, well, Federer can never win another Grand Slam title. And I thought, well, yeah, he can. He's getting to the semifinals. He's getting to the finals. He's playing great tennis. And I always thought, yeah, it's kind of hard to beat a Djokovic and the Nadal. He's had trouble against Nadal. I don't really fear him against Murray, actually. I think if he got to a Grand Slam final against Murray, he could beat him. But I always thought, he faces Djokovic in these last couple of years in the semifinals or finals. He just can't seem to get over the hump. And certainly it was looking like he would have to go through all those guys. Now, he is all of a sudden the biggest name on his side of the draw. I think it looks good for him. And then Nadal on the other side, it looks good for him with Djokovic out. So could this be a Nadal Federer final? Would that just not be amazing to see that? Like, these are two people that have started to be written off, that they're getting too old and the game's passing them by, and that they'll never win another Grand Slam. And now they kind of have become the favorite. Now the pressure is on them almost to take advantage of this opportunity, because how many times are Nadal and Federer going to play a Grand Slam to where they don't have to go up against a Murray or a Djokovic to get to each other? That's probably not going to happen too often. Although Djokovic does seem to be lacking a little bit of his desire, and Murray, maybe Murray's in a little bit of trouble after tonight. I don't know. I always think when Lendl is in Murray's corner, that's good for Murray. Murray pretty much is unbeatable towards the end of last year, but he still did lose at the U.S. Open out of nowhere. He was cruising against Kei Nishikori and he lost, and then tonight out of nowhere, out. So that's got to set off some alarm bells for Murray fans. So I guess I will leave you guys with a couple things. Number one, if you want training on the slice serve, you can look in the description below and you can pick that up. I put a video in there for you. And when the replay comes later, I will also put it as a clickable link. But I want to end tonight with, what do you guys think? What are your picks now? Because now the tournament is wide open. It is wide open. Who is going to win? I'm talking about Federer and Nadal, but now this also has to get some people who have never won a Grand Slam extremely excited, because now where they were looking that they had to go through legends like Federer and Nadal, and then there's Djokovic and Murray, and that becomes a very, and Raonic, that becomes a very tall task, very intimidating for these people who are outside the top five, playing just hoping to get a chance. Now they have a really good look at doing something special. So is this going to be the Grand Slam tournament where we see somebody holding the trophy that we just never thought was going to win it? Is this, that'd be kind of cool too. Or does this leave the door open for the legends to come in and swipe and add to their trophy collection? Let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like today's video, you'd make me feel really, really good by giving it a thumbs up. I certainly want you to comment. I love to interact. You saw that, I don't know if you saw it, but I made a video on his younger brother, Alexander, almost beating Nadal, and we had lots of comments. I answered all the comments. And subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my future videos. So thanks for watching this. Again, when this becomes just a permanent video on YouTube, I will also put some links up for you guys to get some free slice serve training. And I appreciate you guys watching this broadcast.